Dina, one of the things that ICM found um, a significant amount of chatter or talk about the Princeton Theological Seminary and the Board of Trustees. Can you fill us in a little bit about your personal experience as to how much the board knew and who on the board was basically aware of your situation?
And that's the only name that I heard was the board. And I thought the board was, in another building on the campus. But there's a board that is comprised of people from all over the world. And that board is headed, I found out later, much later, maybe 7 or 8 years later, I found out that the board is headed by a man named Michael Fisch, who is the president of the board. But he was the one who really was the liaison between John Gilmore, who was the CEO of the seminary, and Herman Martinez. And they would always tell me they would have to, go back to the board and have a meeting regarding all of my negotiations on the farm, the contract of sale and the lease terms. And, there was many, many delays with this board. So John Gilmore said many, many times, we'll get back to you. So I find out later that I'm in a partnership, not with the Princeton Theological Seminary, in these negotiations for 4 long years, maybe 5. I find out later that, there's the president of the board named Michael, who really, him and the board had to get back and make all these decisions. And he still is resisting all of the, all of the questions that I have and the attempts to settlement through his 2 lawyers. It's, a hardship and a suffering.
Do you know, or do you have any feeling that the knowledge of your situation went beyond just Mr. Fisk to include other members of the board, or did John Gilmore just generically say the board?
He generically the board. He never said the Board of Trustees. So I relied on him.
Right. Now, do you have any indication as to how much the board may have known about your situation? Do you believe that Mr. Gilmore was actually going and reporting to Mr. Fisk on the board based on your interactions with him?
Most definitely. He was telling me he had to go back to the Board of Trustees. I mean, this was a land acquisition for Michael Fisch and the board. Everything had to be approved by, a Board of Trustees.
It makes sense that the chairman of the Board of Trustees or the lead guy would have been in direct communication with John Gilmore as CEO of PTS about this. Does that make sense to you?
It does. And I think John Gilmore, and his hands were tied because he may have made different decisions if he hadn't reported to the board.
Right.
I feel like John was a nice man. But, when he went to the board and the board came back and says, Victor, that was probably a very tough thing for him. He was caught in the middle. And at the end, he was either fired or he resigned because of this.
Yes.
There were three people that were fired or resigned, and that was Herman Martinez and John, and the president left, basically all in the same year.
So the president at that time wasn't Jonathan Lee Walton. It was a gentleman named Craig Barnes. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And Craig Barnes, was he a member of the board?
I at one point, but I'm not sure.
And he would have been directly aware of exactly what was going on, because you knew Mr. Barnes, didn't you? You met him?
Yes.
Many times?
Many times.
Okay. And I guess it would make sense, because the total value of your property, appraised value, was $2.45 million, which I think would probably have gotten the attention of the board of directors. Do you think that's a fair statement?
It would have.
So just the amount of the appraised value of the farm
would
have been a really significant thing for the Theological Seminary.
It was a significant thing because it was in a great location. It was a mile university, very desirable school, and the seminary, a mile from the seminary. And I was dealing with John Gilmore the whole time, thinking there was no board. He could make the fast decisions. But I think when you have a board of trustees, it takes a long time. I'm finding that out after I sold my farm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Do you believe that that the board of trustees were grateful to you for your contribution?
No, they were not. The board of trustees, they were not grateful. They never published anything in the local Princeton magazines or newspapers about my donation of $1.5 million, which is that's hurtful. So that never a letter. That was one. Second thing, there was never a letter of thank you.
So no one ever thanked you from Princeton Theological Seminary for donating $1.5 million to the church?
Yes. No.
A little bit more. Were you there the day that Herman Martinez and Mr. And Mr. Gilmore left the farm? Were you there or no? The day they left?
They left their jobs?
Yes.
I was evicted in 2015, 16. So I think they left soon thereafter. So I was not on the farm. No.
No. But did you ever hear any information about why they left the farm so abruptly after Mr. Barnes left? Do you think it had anything to do with your situation? Is my real question.
Absolutely, yes. I think there was, a conversation with the Board of Trustees and these other three people. I don't know what it was, but it seems odd that they would all leave together maybe a year after.
They may have left the seminary as a result of perhaps not going along with what was happening to you. Is that a possibility?
Most definitely. Hmm.
So in the future, it'd be good to be able to find Mr. Gilmore, Mr. Martinez, and who was the third gentleman that left?
Craig Barnes, the president.
Craig Barnes. So the three of them. It
Yeah.
would be really interesting to have an opportunity to speak with them about this kind of situation. So one of the things we'll try and do at ICM is see if we can reach out to those folks to get a better idea of exactly what was going on at the farm and in your situation.
Michael Fisch, billionaire, founder and CEO of American Securities, and chair of the Board of Trustees at Princeton Theological Seminary. His leadership role at the seminary has sparked a storm of controversy, not over theological doctrine, but over what critics say is a fundamental conflict between his business interests and the seminary's core values. American Securities, Fisch's private equity firm, owns ViaPath, one of the largest prison telecommunications companies in the United States. ViaPath has been widely criticized for charging incarcerated people and their families as much as $15 for a 15-minute call, a practice opponents call predatory and exploitative. Hundreds of Princeton Seminary students and alumni say this business model directly opposes the school's mission,